The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Holy Toledo, what a 48 hours. Welcome to the Hoop Ball Toronto Raptors podcast. And do we ever have a lot to talk about today? Raptors make history twice. First, with the all-woman broadcast team that was sensational. It is frankly unfair how talented Kia Nurse is. She's an all-world basketball player and then just goes out, nails the show. Then, go hit a franchise record of threes, ending with 24 on the night. And everything else, they won, breaking the 9-game snide. And then, after weeks of speculation, Lowry goes nowhere. The field general stays home, but alas, some other Raptors are off to new teams and a couple of shiny new faces to introduce. Well, I've probably spoken enough now, so it's time to introduce the other fellas. First off, we have Kieran Smythe.
What's going on?
And Ben Harrison.
Hey, yeah, crazy day.
And like I said, this is the Hoop Ball Toronto Raptors podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at HoopBallRaptors, and then you can also follow Kieran at K_Dilla. You can follow Ben at Benny and the Raps, and you can follow myself at Brendan Hodgins. And if you get the chance, please go over to the mothership at hoop-ball.com. That's for all your NBA needs. If you want to take a look at DFS, fantasy, wagers, they got everything there. So give it a shot. Go over there and let's make it work. All right, lads, the big win. I don't want to bury the lead here about the other stuff, but let's quickly go over this. Raptors come out on top, 135-111.
Yes.
A lot of stuff here that looked good. Everybody at first thought this was like, it's the going away game, right? So they're going to come out firing. But, Kieran, what was your favorite part about that victory? What did you see specifically that you weren't seeing before?
Biggest things I noticed would be Siakam sort of bringing it to the rim a lot. They weren't all going in, and some of them, drew a few fouls, but like right out the gate, he wasn't just looking to chuck up threes, drive into the lane. That was one of the first things I noticed right out the gate. And then OG just coming in, he missed the last game and then just came in and just couldn't miss, was making good plays, big plays on both ends. So that was a good return to form. It was too bad, it was the game right before, the team was going to blow up at an all-time low because they look great, if that was this was our play for most of this season, we wouldn't even be having any of these talks about trades and whatnot. So
could they just move the trade deadline to happen every week?
Yeah, right. So the biggest thing definitely for me, Siakam, was night and day. This is, even with the misses and things, that's fine, that's what we want you to do. I like that.
Ben, what did you see specifically about this game that you hadn't been seeing in the previous 8 or 9?
9. Definitely with Siakam. I mean, if you were paying attention, there were some weird reports that came out about him being fined $50,000 or so for an exchange he had with Nick Nurse after the Cleveland game.
Yeah,
the reporting was a little weird. Yeah, so we don't know what really happened there. Something probably did happen, but we don't know the details. But whatever it was, he certainly came out firing last night. I think he had 20 points just in the first half, and like you said, he was rim running all night. Looked really, really good. If he, it's just so weird with him. It's like night and day some days, but. OG Anunoby certainly was the shot in the arm this team needed. Who knew he was that vital to, operations? He's just such a game changer on defense. He's like our very own, Marcus Smart or Ben Simmons type, who we can put on, anyone 1 through 5. And last night they had him on Nikola Jokic, Gargantua himself. So, and pretty much shut him down by his standards. He only had 20 points. So.
I got rebounded a few times, but that's to be expected. But still, held his own.
It's pretty rare too that you see a guy that has to go up against Jokic almost averages a triple-double.
Yeah.
And when you put a guy on defense on someone like that, you tend to see a stat line of 4 points, 6 points, because they spend so much time just focusing on the defense. To go out and score 23 points, and he didn't, it's like he played 28 minutes. It's not like he was out there for 40, so he had like an efficient offensive stat line on that as well.
Yeah, if he keeps playing like that, we won't be able to afford him either, so...
Well, they just re-signed him though. But yeah, like I asked Kieran last night, I saw there was a weird money line coming into the game where it was pretty much even money, which is pretty weird given the standings and everything between Denver and Toronto. But it was Kieran there who said it's probably because OG is back, based on how he was playing. I think in the first half alone he had 18 points, 5 boards, a steal, a block, and he put the exclamation point down at the end of the first half there when he had that made the steal and then got a breakaway and just put down the 2-hand slam. So really good night for him.
To what you guys were saying about getting to the rim, especially with Siakam there, and something we've been harping on them a little bit about was, not attacking the rim and so not drawing fouls and stuff like that. And, they were in the bonus in the first quarter, 15 free-throw attempts in the first half. And then exactly what we said was going to happen happened. You start doing that, the help has to come over when guys get down low, with Siakam and OG especially. Mm-hmm. And then the 3-ball opens up. They shot 50% from 3. So what that means is guys are getting open looks.
Well, I didn't, I think the Nuggets, they weren't exactly flying to the ball on defense last night. You could tell they were on a back-to-back, right? It was a little, like I saw even at one point, OG was on fire, and they even left him just wide open. Nobody closed out, so they were definitely tired,
But still,
That's
when
fair.
you do those things, good things happen. We blew them out. It wasn't like a close game or anything. It was we destroyed them, and that's just a large part of it. I think is just that, like people doing what they need to do to space the floor, not everyone reverting to this role of we're struggling, we need to catch up by shooting 3-pointers now. Like that's never the answer. Almost never the answer.
Yeah, and to that note, like Siakam was the worst percentage 3-point shooter on the night. He shot 43%.
Except maybe Malachi Flynn, no?
No, he shot 0.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what I didn't say. But as
0%.
far as guys that
he
were,
took, I think three threes or something, but yeah,
3 threes. I mean, as far as guys that were actually out there shooting, that's what you're looking for. Malachi Flynn played 6 minutes. It's kind of hard to get warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, did you notice too? They kind of Chris Boucher got buried a little bit. They had Bembry and Paul Watson were ahead of him in minutes. So
yeah, well, that's going to happen though when you're up by 30 points. You're going to have some guys come in that wouldn't normally get as many minutes as they should, and you're going to have some guys that normally get more get less. Usually the Raptors have 2 or 3 guys pretty close to 40 minutes, and Pascal Siakam played the most at 35, so.
And I think Boucher still got like 16 minutes in. I don't know what he's averaging this year, but
yeah, he got 17 and a half, so it's not not nothing.
Yeah, I think they went like 13 deep last night, but
that's what happens when we're winning. But that's the thing with us too, is like because we have the 4th fewest bench points in the league right now, and we just don't get the production from them, so we don't. And because we don't put them in unless we're, destroying teams like this, we just never, same with, Matt Thomas, all that, like they just never really got a chance to do anything. So it's, I guess, a little bit nice to see a few new faces and some extra playing time for these guys.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that when we get to the trades, based on there are some guys coming in that could make interesting pieces and do exactly what you're saying there, get roles that are actually enable them to get some playing time.
Mm-hmm.
So another fun fact about this game is that they scored more in 1 point less in 3 quarters than they did in 4 quarters the game before. So it's good to see the offense clicking. Yeah. Some other fun stats: Kyle Lowry plus 42.
Yeah, I saw that career night. Yeah,
which I believe is the second highest in franchise history, and that buries the fact that Pascal Siakam had plus 34, which is nothing to slouch at either. So,
yeah, like classic Kyle. It might be his last game, and he gives you a career performance like that. I mean, I know he didn't score a lot, but
he didn't have to. He just made.
Yeah, he got the win, 9 assists.
he did exactly what he needed to do to make sure that the rest of the team succeeded, and that's what you look for from your field general.
That's probably why he's still a Raptor.
That's probably why he's still a Raptor. On that note, it's probably a good time to transition over to, the main story here, the trade
Indeed.
deadline. Few trades for the Raptors, but a little bit quieter of a day than I think everybody expected. There was, I don't know, I think about 10 different reports as to where Lowry was going and for sure how it was happening. There was a fake Woj tweet out there saying that he had already gone. It was one of those days where we all thought there's so much smoke, as Ben said, how could there not be a fire? Is Lowry not getting traded the biggest surprise of trade deadline, not just for the Raptors, but for the league? Kieran.
I was kind of, mentally broken up with Lowry already in my head before this and figured he was going to be going. So it definitely surprised me. I was kind of under the impression we were going to end up just sending both Lowry and Powell out and changing the look entirely of the team. But yeah, I mean, seemed to be a lot of teams really interested in him. And right up to the end, Philly was on the table. Miami was a big possibility. The Lakers were interested. So I definitely think it was almost expected that Lowry was going, and then maybe we'd ship Powell too. But I'm warming up to the idea. I think in the long run it's a good move for us. Especially it's Lowry, right? Like, I'm not mad that Lowry's still on the team. So, but it is definitely a bit surprising, all things considered.
All right, Ben, on that note, what do you think was the holdup? Why don't you think this deal got done? Based on, there was a few tweets from Woj and Sham. Like, we're not talking about guys that don't know what they're talking about saying, oh, it's on the 1 yard line, this deal's almost done. What made you think, what do you think made the Raptors, balk at what was being offered?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to love the day and age of Twitter where we kind of have like a window into what's going on behind the scenes. But, if I had to guess, the packages the package we saw from Miami that ended up going for Oladipo was pretty weak, right? What was it? Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, which are pretty much just filler pieces. They're both free agents. And a future first or swap rights.
It was a pick swap,
so, yeah. So, I mean, if that's all you're getting for, the face of the franchise, the field general, like you said, that's definitely not worth it. From what I heard throughout the day, the Lakers package, just because they don't have much and, you need a match salary, it was going to be something like Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, and Taylor Horton-Tucker, which, again, is just pretty underwhelming, right? You're not winning the press conference if that's the deal that you make, so... I think Masai was probably genuinely pretty close to making a move. Who knows what the deal was in Philly? They ended up going another way. They picked up George Hill for kind of a lower price tag. But I'd say just nobody wanted to meet his price. Really, is what happened.
Not
there.
cheap, nor should he be, but.
Yeah, and some stuff, I believe there was Woj at the end kind of put out a thing because everybody was positive he was getting moved. And then at the end of the day, I think there was some of that hindsight saying, well, there's really no guarantee that he's signing again. And he said before that he wants to go back and be a Raptor. So it really is, it's a short-term lease and it's an expensive short-term lease. So I think guys just went, you know what? I think with what we can get for a little bit less doesn't put us that much farther back. Maybe we should go that route. But I'm not an NBA GM, so.
Yeah, I think Miami and LA played it pretty smart, to be honest. If you can get Oladipo for a cheap price rather than paying up for Kyle Lowry, it's not a huge drop off. And George Hill's certainly no Kyle Lowry, but. They picked him up for next to nothing in Philly, so why are you going to give up a big rotational piece just to bring in Kyle for, like you said, only a few months maybe? And I think it's always tough when they're trying to do these deadline deals where there's a contract extension involved because, it's not just the GMs in there, it's the agents too and everything, so.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Now, few other deals that actually got done for the Raptors here.
Yeah.
Now there's the sort of the big one, and I know we're all sad to see him go. Storm and Norman Powell Playoff Powell. He's no longer a Toronto Raptor. He's off to another team to see what he can do over in the West Coast area there. It's not a bad package that the Raptors got back. It's an interesting kind of looking thing. And fun fact, Gary Trent Jr. is the second Gary Trent to get traded from the Portland to the Raptors on the trade deadline day.
Yeah, I saw that. 98 or something like that. His dad.
Yep, that was part of the Stoudemire deal.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah, and then Rodney Hood, I believe he's a former first round pick, right?
Rodney Hood, I believe so. He's been around forever. Seems like he's played for half the teams in the league, but
he's just riddled with injuries. He's never really had a chance to get it going. Maybe he finds something here in Toronto. So I don't hate the trade. Kieran, is there any way that you see what Gary Trent will mean for the Raptors? What do you think his role is going to be?
Well, I mean, he's a good defender. Not a crazy scorer or anything, but he's also, new to the league and everything like that. So good defense goes a long way, and that's a big thing that, the Raptors are all about. And then, price-wise, it's quite a steal of a deal, and I think that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. Norm's having just a crazy year. This frees up a lot of space for what he's going to be asking for next year, and he's a restricted free agent, so we get a good shot at, retaining him if things work out well. Decent three-point shooter, so I think he'll fit in really well with the Raptors lineup. Again, if he's coming off the bench, then all the better, just because if we can get some production out of somebody off the bench is one of the things we're sorely lacking. It doesn't do anything, though, to help our we've been saying this for however long, rebounding issues that we've, constantly faced. So we're the worst rebounding team in the league. I don't think this is a solution to that problem, but definitely I think this will help us out with some bench production. We got rid of a couple pieces that weren't producing. Hopefully adding these two guys will be that spark. And, Norm the reason we had Norm starting is he's so much more productive when he's a starter than off the bench. So if these guys can do the opposite of that, we can go back to our starting lineup and get some production off the bench from this, hopefully. So I haven't watched too much of these guys playing or anything like that, but definitely cautiously optimistic that this will, work out somehow for us. But I still see a big hole in rebounding, and we've got a couple extra roster spots now, so don't know what that's all about.
That's fair enough. Ben, is there something that you're seeing from this trade that either is a negative or a positive in your view, or do you think it's kind of like net equal?
Well, there's a few things there. Like if I was grading it, like talent-wise, it's close to a net equal, I'd say. You get a lot younger here. It's kind of like resetting the clock. You go back to a 22-year-old guy now that's on his rookie contract. He's probably going to cost you about half what Norm is on his next deal here. And he brings a little more size. He's about 6'5", 210 pounds, so a little bigger than Norm in that spot. He's already hitting 40% of his threes, and he's only in his second or third year. I hadn't seen too much of him play either, but I know I had heard a lot of good things, just kind of, scuttlebutt around the league. I thought it was a pretty good return for Norm, and Portland's just going to be shooting the lights out here now, with Lillard, McCollum, and Norm Powell just firing away.
Oh, they're going to have some offense for sure.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I mean, offense, not much on the other end, but we'll see. So I'm pretty excited about him. I didn't make as much of Rodney Hood as you guys did. To be honest, I think he might have just been kind of salary filler to even it out. But to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if he was kind of a buyout candidate here. If Ujiri wants to let him go, get a title shot, but we'll see.
Well, fair enough. Then, so that pretty much sums up the Powell trade there. There's a couple other trades here, but we all thought, I know when we were talking together, that these two next trades were lead ups to a Lowry trade, trying to free up some roster spots. But was faith just lost in Terrence Davis? Do you think you'd been talking about how you hadn't really seen him lately, and now he's gone? bench.
Yeah, I mean, if we thought the defense was, or if we thought the bench was thin before, you know, I mean, I know they weren't the greatest players in the world, but we just lost 2 of our guys, so somebody's going to have to step up, and hopefully we have that somebody. Yeah, Matt Thomas on his way out. I think he went to Utah, who's just got a great stable of shooters over there.
Whatever you need in this time of sadness, Ben, you just let us.
Yeah. I know. We had our very, I thought he was going to be like our very own Alex Caruso, just a guy who looks like he could have been your substitute science teacher back in high school. But he's gone. We'll move on. Better and better things on the horizon.
Yeah, I think that'll work out for him in the long run. Like, he's going to a team that shoots the threes. We just weren't using him. He didn't really, defensively didn't fit in too well with us. So,
no.
Just as a result, never got a chance to, show that he could, I guess. So, it'll probably work out better for him. And, yeah, he's just taking up space at the end of our bench. So, fill it up hopefully with some people who can, fit in. And even if you're not going to produce, if you can just, turn the ball over, adjust some shots, that's all we need. That'll spark offense, get us on the fast break, which we do so well. So, if you're not able to do that, then, your 3-point shooting isn't going to help us out that much. So, and that's what happened in Matt Thomas's case. So,
yeah, as long as it doesn't lead to more Patrick McCaw, I'm okay. But
yeah. I think these guys are going to, pass him on our rotation, I think, the new guys.
Yeah, we'll see Rodney Hood at least play a few games, and I imagine he's going to kind of, back up OG and give him spells here and there. So I'll be interested to see what he can do. Like I said, he hasn't been healthy much over the span of his career, so maybe he gets a little bit of run here. Or Ben might be right, and he gets bought out and gets to move on to another team, see what he can do there. It was a busy trade deadline. Is there anything specific, Ben, that you saw from this deadline that you found interesting? Big moves. Vooch went away. That Magic pretty much sold house. Anything specific that really caught your eye?
Oh man, it was like a particularly busy deadline. We don't usually have that much action. A few things. The big winner on the day, I'd say, was probably the Denver Nuggets. Kind of coming under the radar a little bit, but they got Aaron Gordon. They didn't want to pay Jeremy Grant in the offseason, and they let him walk away. And, we've seen what he's been able to do in Detroit, and really left a hole in their lineup. So they did a really good job filling that in, and they didn't give up too much. Gary Harris, R.J. Hampton, future first, and that starting 5 just looks great now with Jamal Murray, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon. So they're going to be pretty scary in the playoffs, I think, now.
Kieran, was there something that you saw at this trade deadline that piqued your interest that you thought was a little bit different than we've seen before, or that you just found kind of like it's going to make a big difference in the shape of the league?
Nothing overly as far as any kind of game changers that I think there's a new contender or anything like that. I think the most interesting thing was the same Denver. Orlando Magic, I think, what did they move 4 out of their 5 starters? So that's pretty crazy and will shake things up for them. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't see that making many, too big of a change. I was mostly focusing on, anything relating to the Raptors today and just, the back and forth of is he going, isn't he going, where is he going kind of thing. So I got wrapped up in that. But, there's nothing too crazy, just, a busy day of shuffling around things, but I don't think anything too groundbreaking outside of, Denver is looking real nice, but it was a wild one.
The only thing I definitely, when I took a look at what was happening early, was Chicago decided that they're going to make a play for this. Adding Vucevic.
That surprised me too,
Yeah, picking up Tice. They brought in some guys that mean business. They want to win now with that lineup. So there are going to be some competition in the East here.
Yeah, I mean, they really made a big swing, too, because, like, they're sitting in 10th place right now, and they gave up this year's first and next year's first. So, I mean,
that's a big bet.
You're putting a lot of faith in your lineup and adding Vucevic that you're going to be moving up the standings pretty quick, or else, you know. But I saw there were a couple teams that I thought were pretty big losers on the day, and kind of frustrated me a little as their GMs. One was Detroit. I mean, they're supposed to be breaking into a rebuild here, and they've shipped out 4 guys and got essentially nothing for them. This season, they've traded Derrick Rose. They've gotten rid of Blake Griffin. They're about to buy out Andre Drummond, and they traded DeLon Wright. Those are 4, useful players, and they got almost nothing for them. It's just not a great way to start a rebuild, and mistakes like that can come back to you. Like, I don't know why they traded Derrick Rose 2 months ago. He's probably the best of the bunch, and they kind of just gave him to the Knicks without waiting for a bidding war at the deadline. But I thought they kind of blew it. And then the other one that I really don't like, and I don't like to get on him because he's a rookie GM and everything, but Raphael Stone in Houston. He just looks like a guy without a plan, someone just reacting to everything that's happening. I know when the day he took the job, there was a line of players outside his door looking for the way out, but he made the Oladipo move right pretty much at 3:00 today, and like I said earlier, they got almost nothing except a future first for him. And back when they made that James Harden move, they chose to take Victor Oladipo and that expiring contract rather than go for Karis LeVert and Jared Allen.
I don't know why they didn't keep that package, Karis LeVert, and even with Oladipo's guaranteed, I'd rather have those 2 guys.
Yeah, exactly. And then, to make it even worse, they offered Oladipo a joke of an extension. I think it was 2 years and $45 million, which he said no to. So now they're left with pretty much nothing instead of a 22-year-old center who's about to be a star from the looks of it, and a 6'6", combo guard who can handle the ball, score 20 points a game, and had is on a great deal in Karis LeVert. So, yeah, I mean, good for him for the Christian Wood signing there. That's been great. But other than that, it's just a tire fire in Houston. So,
the only thing there that I have to say, Oladipo, unless Miami goes on one big tear with him through the playoffs and he plays his best ball, I don't know how much better of a contract he's going to get out there. He hasn't shown that he's willing to help a team yet, and he hasn't exactly performed in a way that blows the doors off.
Yeah, he's still kind of living off that one season in Indiana, right, when he just went crazy and was legit one of the best players in the league, but it was for 12 months, right? Besides that, his career's been kind of inconsistent. His shooting percentages are all down this year, I know, because I drafted him in fantasy, but anyway, I don't know. They're talking about a big 3 in Miami, and I'm thinking, I don't know, it's kind of like a poor man's big 3, I guess, there with Jimmy Butler, Bam, and now Oladipo. So, but we'll see how it goes.
Respectable, yeah.
Yeah, respectable. Yeah. But you look at the other big 3, and that's kind of like this is your big 3, and this is the big 3 that your girlfriend tells you not to worry about.
Yeah. That's not a knife.
That's right.
But the trade deadline was an interesting one. You're definitely right, Ben. I would say Houston came out on the wrong end of the stick there, and I'm happy that the Raptors didn't make that deal for Lowry.
Yeah.
Now it's the second part of all this, right? Because there's half of the trade deadline is the people that don't get traded, but aren't going to be on that team soon anyways. What are some buyout options you think around the league there, Kieran, that the Raptors should really take a look at?
To pick up?
Yeah.
Anybody big. Give us some rebounders. That's absolutely have to. I don't know who's getting released or exactly who's out there, but that if that's not the next thing we do is pick up someone who can get solid rebounds for us, then I just don't know what we're doing. And I think that's right now the biggest piece. I think they're trying to get us a bit of bench depth. So yeah, we just need a rebounder. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they score. Get us anybody who can get rebounds, please.
So on that note, I think Drummond is probably going to get bought out here.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then the other big name on the list would be Aldridge. I don't know how much Aldridge still wants to get up and rebound.
Yeah,
he's kind of near the end of his career, and I think maybe if he went to the Lakers or something like that, he'd have the get up and go to do it. But unless the Raptors, went up to him and said, "Listen, you show up, we'll pay you again next season." Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's going to be the answer, but there's going to be some guys out there that are going to be worth picking up. Like, I would have been great to get an Olynyk or something for something else other than, Lowry, obviously. Yeah. But you are right. We do need a center that can either at least facilitate if they're not going to go and get big rebounds.
Yeah, but Drummond would be, I think, a good fit for something like that where it's, don't need too much offensive production. But, if you can get us, double-digit rebounds, then that'd be perfect. Just one less thing to worry about. Doesn't really space the floor too much, but still, if you can be a presence inside, then we'll take it.
Well, it spaces the floor in its own little way. We already have guys that are standing on the 3-point line, right?
Yeah, that's right. We don't need more people out there. And Baines really, he does go there sometimes, but we'd be fine if he didn't. So, him down low, and that's it. More offensive rebounds, more rebounds. I think we averaged, I looked up today, 41.1 for the league worst rebounds per game. So that's not great.
Yeah, and I think actually that almost is exactly what we had in this game. Let's see, rebounds. Okay, 45. We were above average for us.
Hey, hit the over.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and still lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Every year it seems like those big men, all the teams think they're going to trade their big guy for a big return, but it just never happens, and they end up on the buyout market. So that's going to happen again here. But it's hard to know what Masai wants to do. He's kind of straddling the line here. Are we going to try and compete, or are we going to try and tank and get Cade Cunningham in here? But
I honestly think with the rebounder, our team's decent, we still got, Lowry, OG, Van Vliet, Siakam, Boucher off the bench, these other guys off the bench. If we could replace Baines, have him be the sub and have another big guy, it's a solid, you saw them against our last game, they were great. Denver. If those guys are all on, minus you take out Norm Powell now, but if those other guys are on, we're a tough team to beat still. So, and we proved it kind of going into the pre-COVID era there. We had a great little stretch. We were beating big teams, and then COVID decimated us. We went on this long streak. So, if you take that out and you take out we had one really good stretch there where we kind of showed what we could do. But we had a terrible start and then a terrible midsection here, so we lacking a bit of consistency. But it's not a terrible looking team. But I think the smart move isn't try to do too much. But I think this team could with a rebounder could still squeeze their way into the play-in or the playoffs. So.
Okay, Ben, on that note, same kind of question. Is there somebody, other than the two guys that we just kind of talked about there on the buyout market, or that you suspect will be on the buyout market, that they think they might take a look at?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say right now. There's always a bunch of guys that come on there that you didn't expect. I could see those guys that went to Houston in the Oladipo getting bought out. Well, pretty much everyone in Houston at some point. But, you could see Kelly Olynyk getting bought out easily. He'd be a nice piece. Right now the only people I've heard for immediate buyouts anyway are Andre Drummond and LaMarcus Aldridge. I forgot to mention earlier, though, the weirdest trade I saw today that I wanted to ask you guys what you thought was the Clippers. What were they thinking? They sent Lou Williams straight up for Rajon Rondo.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that me or is that nuts, right?
Well, Rondo's going to flourish over there with the Clippers. That's the perfect roll-up for him.
Yeah, he hasn't been himself for quite a while, and Lou Williams is still, a walking bucket, as they say. So, but I thought it was crazy.
Is he still putting up good numbers off the bench? I just only saw a couple of stat lines recently, and they looked subpar. But he might have just been having an off game. I don't been following or anything, but
he's not quite what he used to be. He's definitely having a slow year. Coming into it, everybody thought that it was going to be like big time Lou Williams, but then he kind of sort of took a back seat a little bit with the other guys on the team.
Yeah,
I think Rondo fits in a little bit better there because he's more of a facilitator if he finds his game again, mind you. But like he's going to be going into a high assist role as opposed to a usage role there.
Yeah, and it's a good place for that. I mean, they got scorers, so if you can get someone who can feed your scorers, then it's probably just as good of a fit, if anything. So
yeah, it takes the pressure off of Paul George and Kawhi to always be the creators, right? Mm-hmm. They can just kind of get into position and get fed the ball.
But I guess it's a good fit. I just thought, like, talent-wise or whatever, it just seemed like a weird straight-up swap. But anyway.
Also, it seems like Rondo's been in the league for 25 years. So
yeah, you can't be young, eh?
Yeah, that's right. He won a ring with, like, Paul Pierce. Yeah.
Garnett, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the original super team there from the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next thing I kind of wanted to touch on what Kieran was saying there. The Raptors had that rough start. I think it was 2-8.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went 15-7, and then obviously they went 0-9, and now they're on the new streak of 1.
Yeah.
We had a question that was asked on Twitter by JSass, asking us if we thought that there was anything to the fact that beginning of the season was a little bit different for the Raptors than everybody else. I mean, it was different for everybody in general, but the Raptors are the only team that isn't playing anywhere close to their actual home arena.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Kieran, that them moving down there at the beginning of the season was a major part of their slow start?
I don't know about major. It can only be accounted for so much, I would think. But it definitely, it can't be discounted too, right? Like it factored in for sure. I mean, you're moving; it's a whole different, city experience. And I mean, the Raptors, they're Canada's team. They're just like so beloved up here, and everyone obviously doesn't have crowds. Well, for the most part. So that's a big one because we're such our home crowds are crazy. We go nuts. So that hurt us too. Just, I think, we have a great home base. So I think that hurt us especially too. And then, just being so far removed. And then, even when they do allow some fans now and, they're still sure there's some Raptors fans, but, I think you see a lot of both teams or if, especially if the Hawks come to town or something like that or someone from the South, then you're definitely going to see a lot of opposing jerseys there. So, for someone who's, had such a great home and a home crowd and everything and, atmosphere, it's night and day. You're not in the same place. I mean, no winters, so I don't know, it's a little bit of a bonus, I guess. But, it's for sure factored in on them. Some of them have even mentioned, having to play down there, like when it was the bubble thing, Siakam really struggled there. So, I think it's definitely took a while to get used to it. Then they got used to it. I don't know what the excuse we can use for this 9-game losing streak is. Once we snapped out of the
COVID,
the home blues. Sure, I guess. But I think definitely it. 2-8, it factored. I'd like to think it factored anyways, and that we weren't just terrible.
Yeah, Ben, do you think there's anything to the fact that having to, a lot of these guys have families, stuff along those lines. You got to move everybody down. You got to get settled. Is there something that about the way athletes behave at home versus on the road? Routines, that sort of thing, that you think this would have affected their play early?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every guy is wired differently. Some of them, like you said, are big on the routines, and this would really kind of mess that up. And other guys are big family guys, and I don't know their situations. I assume some of them are probably down in Tampa with them. Some of them aren't. But I think it was Fred Van Fleet, I believe I saw in an interview, and he actually said it. He said that, talking about the two different streaks, he was saying that, they did have a hard time adjusting to Tampa and that it's getting easier now that they're, used to the routine and just getting used to being down there. But yeah, I mean, you can't use it as too much of an excuse. But that's a good point by Kieran. Like, every team is missing their fans, but we definitely have, you got to say top 5 fan base in the league. Like, they're just crazy, especially now that we have Jurassic Park. And for my money, it's either us or Indiana with the best fan bases, because they're just hilarious there in Indiana. Mm-hmm. with the chance. But yeah.
All right, so yeah, if that answers the question, we think for sure there was some aspect to that move that affected the team early. But there was probably a little fatigue based on the fact that there was only 2 months pretty much layover from the bubble to the new season. But all teams have to face some adversity. They turned it around. Let's hope that they could turn it around again here after their most recent one.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 more games coming up this week, and neither of them is going to be easy. The first one we've already talked about a little bit, coming up next against Phoenix. Phoenix didn't make too many moves here, so it's pretty much going to be exactly the way we expected it. Hopefully the new guys are in and able to play by then, but I'm not sure how it works with the protocols going from team to team. There's nothing new that you guys think we got to talk about with this upcoming Phoenix game?
Phoenix, no, not really. Hopefully they play, like they did in Denver. That'd be nice. But yeah. Then we got Norm's video tribute / revenge game is going to be pretty quick here. It's on Sunday, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be the one that we have a little bit more to talk about here.
That'll be
first time.
Yeah, interesting. Just surreal game, I think. The first time where he's back and it's just immediate. Not even like
right away
season or something. Yeah, just hey. I know you.
The weird thing is, do you think he salutes the fans? Because it's not going to be the same fans.
Yeah, I know, right?
yeah, it's a little strange. I might bet the over on points for him, just because, often see guys just light it up, right? So
for sure. At least with him, I don't think there's, it's not like a bad blood thing or anything. It's going to be pretty amicable. So it'll be nice to see him kind of. I'm sure he's going to be joking around with all the guys and accidentally coming over to our bench or something, whatever.
Right.
But I think that'll be a fun game to watch and pay attention to.
You don't think he's going to be like hard fouling Freddie and like teed up and shit?
Yeah, no, I think that'll be a lot of fun, and hopefully I think he'll thrive down there, and all the best to him.
Yeah, definitely. I have no hard feelings at all about Norm leaving the team. I loved every moment that he was here. He was a great player. Playoff pal. He always tried hard. He always gave his all out there. There's not much else you can ask for as a fan.
Yeah.
Well, he was just so, excitingly unpredictable, right? He could have a 6-point game or a 40-point game. It was just great. So, yeah, a lot of fun to watch. But we got a long-term piece coming in here, so I like that too.
Yeah, Norm, we'll sort of see you go. But, we hope that we beat you. So...
Yeah. No hard feelings when we win.
Yeah, you can have a great game as long as no one else does.
That's it.
All right, so we're kind of coming to the end of the show here. If they don't win these 2 games, do you think they don't go pick up anything, or how crucial do you think these 2 are?
These 2 games, if we don't win,
they're kind of like a barometer, right? Good opponents.
Good opponents, but also new team pieces. I don't know that we can. That's a lot of pressure put on these 2 games when so much has changed.
Yes.
I wouldn't take it too much away from it. But I'm curious to see. Let's keep an eye on those rebound numbers, because if we are getting out rebounded by a big deficit, that's a concern. And then I think it's going to have to be pick someone up, or we're just tanking the season and going to try to draft and position ourselves for the future. But I don't think the outcome of these 2 games, I wouldn't be worried too much, especially being that this Phoenix is second in the West. Portland's a strong team. I'm not too worried about it. I'm just more, I hope everyone gets a decent amount of playing time, and they probably won't, if they're even playing by then, they probably wouldn't have had even a practice with the team or something like that. So they're probably not going to be too deep into the rotation. But I hope we just get to see a good taste to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, like they're definitely not making it easy on Masai Ujiri, right? It's like one night you lose to Cleveland, then you beat Denver, and then another night you lose to Minnesota, and then you beat Golden State. Like if I were the GM, it'd be hard to pick a direction, I guess.
Right. But. Yeah. Well, we beat the Bucks 2 games in a row. All that stuff. Philly
then,
right after.
Yeah, lose to Detroit.
But we're still 8 games, below 500. So yeah, it's a strange
But it's
year.
the thing. I think you said last week or last show. We play up, we play down. So if we play those bad teams, we'll lose to those bad teams. We give the good teams a run for their money. So with that being said, I'd like to see us give these 2 good teams at least a run for the money and not have them be blowouts that look like we're just playing practice or something. So.
Yeah, like you could say for sure, like nobody at the top of the East wants to see Toronto in the first round series, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, well, there you go, guys. Again, thank you very much for joining us. As always, it's a great time to be speaking to you guys out there. Quick thing for everybody, if you want to ask a question and get us to answer it on the podcast, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, put that question right in there with what you want us to talk about, and we will make sure to get it on the show. Just make sure, guys, this is a family show, so keep the questions classy. Thank you very much. As always, we love you, and we will see you next time. This is Brendan Hodgins with Kieran Smythe.
See you soon.
Ben Harrison.
Have a great weekend.
And we will see you after the next game. Thank you. Have a good night.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.